So Brendan Rodgers has done his usual press conference before tomorrow's game against Dundee United. This should be exciting. As we travel, if you're far away, through the triumph and struggle, we're there, side by side. What's happening, Celtic family? I hope you're all doing well out there. Let's start this as we do normally and hit the subscribe button below. It is free to do so and helps me grow this channel. But Brendan Rodgers has done his press conference before the game against Dundee United tomorrow. So we're going to do things a wee bit differently. I'm going to actually watch this press conference with you. And we're going to see what Brendan's got to say, stop it and comment on it. I'm interested to see what he's got to say about, obviously, Sunday and his press conference on Sunday, whether he's kind of changed his tune a wee bit, or, which I think what he will do is just stick to his guns, and quite rightly so. He said what he said, and you kind of have to stick by that. So it'll be interesting to see whether he maybe, it's not the whole thing with the back passing thing. I think we could all understand the back passing thing. We get it, but I don't think that was the big issue here. I think the issue was saying that, you know, we had purposely disrespected Greg Taylor by singing about Kieran Tierney. And as I said, I knew what was going to happen there, not only in my comment section, but I've obviously been on other channels, I've been on social media, and everybody is kind of divided with the way that they see this. Some people absolutely 100% agree with Brendan Rodgers, and he should have said that, and they back him to the hilt with it. And then you've got the other half, like myself, that thought it was just probably a bit below the belt, and, you know, it wasn't really needed. We didn't really need to bring it up, because I've watched back at that press conference, and whoever the media guy was, I don't know who he was, but he just asked about, they were singing about Kieran Tierney, and then Brendan Rodgers jumped straight in. He didn't even let the media guy. I'm thinking that the guy was possibly going to say something like, you know, it sounds like that the fans are really happy about the potential of Kieran Tierney coming back. Is there anything more to add to it? I think that's maybe where it was headed, but I don't know. But, I mean, Brendan shut that down straight away and said what he said. I'm not going to keep going on about it. Just said that basically all Celtic supporters, or whoever sung it, not all Celtic supporters, but whoever sung it disrespected Greg Taylor. And you know, and I know, and I think Brendan Rodgers knows that that wasn't the case. That's not what was meant by that. It was just a lot of Celtic supporters singing about Kieran Tierney because the potential of Kieran Tierney coming back excites a lot of fans. It really does. It excites me. I can't wait. I really, really hope this goes through. It sounds like it's going to, but I really, really hope that it goes through. But I think what he said was, it was just sort of unwarranted, but you could tell there was a lot on his mind. As I said in the previous video, I think that a lot of that came from the 2nd of January, obviously when we were at Ibrox. I think he had a lot to get off his chest about that. I still stick by with that. What I said in my previous video, that don't believe when Brendan Rodgers says that he doesn't take much notice of social media and what's going on in social media and what people have got to say, because you would be stupid not to. The guy he's a businessman, he's operating a business, so not to utilise social media and find out what's going on there, I know that. I've got my own business, so I know that is a stupid thing to do, because how powerful social media is, and you can find out a lot from it. So I think that's. I think he's sort of seen the way that the Celtic support reacted to what happened at Ibrox, and he's kind of taken it on the chin a bit, because he thinks that, and it's true, he's came here and he's done a fantastic job, and we've not lost many games, and we've not underperformed to the level that we did at Ibrox. So I think he probably feels like he was a wee bit hard done by. He didn't deserve to get maybe ridiculed as much as he did for not making the changes when he did, possibly getting the starting 11 wrong. I know I think that he got the starting 11 wrong, and I definitely believe that at half time there's 3 players there that he should have hooked and he didn't do it. So I think he's probably taken a wee bit hard to that, and he probably thinks that is just it's been a wee bit harsh on him, but it's not really. He got it wrong, and nobody's asking for him to come out there and profusely apologise, but just, recognise that he's got it wrong. But anyway, we've got the press conference here from today, so let's have a look at it and see what Brendan says.
Brendan, everyone coming through this busy schedule okay? Everyone fit and ready to go?
Yeah, still only James is the only one that's out, but everyone else, all good.
Last time we heard from you, you were calling on the Celtic fans to maybe trust you and trust the team a bit more in games like the St Mirren one. Is that going to be required again, potentially, this type of fixture that you face tomorrow evening? Perhaps that level of patience?
I think a lot of the games over this period of time, they're, especially when you're going to come up against teams that are designated to sit in deep and close the space. So yeah, it's definitely an important part of the idea getting into games such as these.
Why is it so important? Do you feel that can it spook players, even though you can try and get your message across? Is that the ultimate fear that they become anxious and don't do the things you want them to do?
Yeah, listen, for me, it's always my job. Really, I always see it is to create an atmosphere that players here, both in the training centre and at Celtic Park and beyond that, can flourish and play play in the style of which the fans demand here. So and that there is all about a positive mentality and
right. So I mean, listen, I get what he's saying. He wants to create an atmosphere and he wants it to be a positive atmosphere, but I don't ever think really there is a negative atmosphere. I mean, I attend every single game and I don't feel like there's a negative atmosphere around Celtic Park, especially the way that we have been playing. And let's not get it wrong, like we've been playing some really, really good football, and as I've stated before, we're not always going to have it our own way. And as Brendan said in his previous press conference, that we sometimes need to give it a bit of time. We're maybe not going to score within the first 20 minutes, and we're not going to be 3 or 4 or 5-0 up within 20 minutes. I understand that. And I get the whole, what he's saying here, he wants to create, that he wants to have a positive atmosphere. He doesn't need to create it. There should be a positive atmosphere inside Celtic Park anyway, because we're playing some good football, and I think a lot of the Celtic supporters, they realise that.
And that connection between both. So yeah, listen, Celtic fans are amazing for the team and for the players, and when everything's right up there, there is going to be moments, and like I say, over the course of the coming months, where like I say, teams will be sat in deep, and you might not be able to always play forward, and you have to come out and restart the attack again.
So I think what he's subtly saying here is, you need to be a wee bit more patient. Celtic supporters need to be a wee bit more patient. And he's kind of echoing what he said on Sunday, that, we're not going to have it all our own way, and we're not going to score 3, 4, 5 goals in 20 minutes. The thing is, I think we all get that. We all understand that. And I think, I'm going to be honest, like, I don't know where this whole back pass thing comes from. I think he's making a mountain out of a molehill when it comes to that, because I didn't hear anything on Sunday in the stadium personally. I maybe went like that myself, and I have no problem admitting that. I maybe went like that myself because I just seen openings in front of us at times. I don't know if it was exactly at the 20-minute mark that I done that, but at some point through the game I kind of went but it wasn't like I wasn't going to start shouting and swearing, and it was just one of these ones that I didn't feel like the ball had to go backwards. I didn't hear, like, it wasn't like everybody got up and started booing. So I think he's made more out of this than I think was really needed. That's my personal opinion.
I never asked the team to play around the houses. not be penetrative. And I think you see that in the goals that we score and the chances that we create. So, but no, it's an observation. I think everyone has the right to air their emotion and their feeling.
Right, I'm going to stop there because he is right. Everybody's entitled to it. So everybody's entitled to have an observation. Everybody's entitled to feel, or if they don't feel like the team's doing well. But on Sunday, that's not what he said. I think that it was the way he came across. You could tell, as I said, on Sunday, he had to get a few things off his chest. You could tell by the way he was even sat there. You could tell the way that he was stood at the side of the ground, at the side of the pitch through the game. He just didn't look happy. Even the way he was dressed, he was like really casual, where he's normally really smart. He looked like he was a guy that was on a mission, and he probably pre-planned that at the end of this game I'm going to say something, because, as I said, I think he's seen a lot of what the fans' reaction to the game at Ibrox, and it's not sat well with him. That's the kind of feeling I get. But yeah, I think everybody's behind the team. Everybody's behind it, and everybody knows how well they're playing. I think he's totally blown this way out of proportion. He's still trying to say the same sort of things, but maybe just not in the manner and what he kind of came across on Sunday.
And that was my feeling from the weekend. But now we look forward.
What do you expect the reaction to be like tomorrow, Brendan, from the fans after your comments at the weekend?
No, the supporters will support the team.
Have you had to speak to Greg Taylor at all in the aftermath of that game? Is that something you've had to address with him personally?
I have spoke to him. Yeah, he's absolutely fine. Yeah, I had a good chat with Greg. Just on.
The reason Greg Taylor, I think, is absolutely fine, because I know there's a lot of people going on about that Greg Taylor's obviously thrown his toys out the pram and walked away up the tunnel. I don't think it was anything to do with that. From what we hear, that he'd obviously taken a bump in the nose, and his nose was bleeding, and he'd went up the tunnel because of it. But loads of players go up the tunnel. I don't think it was anything to do with that, and I don't think Greg Taylor would have seen anybody singing about Kieran Tierney. Listen, the thing is, Greg Taylor's always been the underdog. He's the £2 million player from Kilmarnock that came in, and nobody had big hopes for him, really. As I said, he was a £2 million player from Kilmarnock. Now, there's a lot of Celtic supporters out there. There's a lot of people in my comment section saying that I hated Greg Taylor. That's absolute nonsense. I've done nothing but champion the guy, more so than a lot of other people. I think that domestically, anyway, Greg Taylor has been pretty good. And as Brendan says on Sunday, that he said, people were saying about Greg Taylor, you know, he can't do it in the Champions League. But there's loads of people who can't do it in the Champions League. So he's right. He is right. He's absolutely right. There's been loads of players, past and present, who haven't performed when it came to European football. That's absolutely right. I think Greg Taylor at times has been one of them players. He's been caught out a lot. But I think domestically, Greg Taylor's been pretty good since he came to the club. I know that is going to divide opinion, because there's a lot of supporters out there who just don't feel the same about Greg Taylor, and that's fine. But there's also a part of Brendan Rodgers and Celtic that must feel the same, because they took in Burnaby. He was to replace him. They've tried to replace that position so many times, but Greg Taylor's actually kept these people out. He's kept them. He's kept that his shirt. He's kept them off the park. So Greg Taylor's actually done a really good job. But I think, I don't know. We'll carry on
a number of things. So, but yeah, he's good to go.
Was his nose fine as well? Because you came in after he said he nearly broke his nose. Was that in the game?
Yeah, he had a bite. That was obviously a part of going in to make sure he was okay, and he obviously rushed in to get some treatment. So, but yeah, he's fine. He's trained today, so he's good to go.
How easy or difficult is it for the likes of Greg to ignore the noise when you're into the last few months of a contract, the crowd and whatnot?
I'm going to jump in here before Brendan says in here, because what noise about Greg Taylor? This is like the media poking and poking and poking at it. There is no noise. They're trying to make a narrative here. Brendan Rodgers, to me, got it wrong in what he said about the Celtic support disrespecting, meaning to disrespect Greg Taylor, right? I think that's wrong. Now, this guy's still going on about it. How does he deal with that? That the crowd are basically trying to say that they're not on his side. If I was Brendan here, I don't even know what he's going to say. I would just shut this down. Because right now what you're doing is I wouldn't say you're making things worse, but you're not making anything better. I would just shut it down and just say, look, it is what it is. But it needs to stop.
Is it easy for him to turn off to that?
Yeah, I think Greg's clear on where he's at. For me, he's a dedicated Celt. You know, he's been someone that's, nearly 6 years. I think tomorrow, if he plays, it's 200 games as a Celtic player, which is a lot of games. He's a brilliant servant, and I hope he can continue to be that throughout my time here and beyond. So,
well, that's not going to happen, is it? It's not going to happen. This is what we keep hearing from Brendan. I would like Greg Taylor to stay. I think if you've got Kieran Tierney there and Greg Taylor, and you can rotate the two, because obviously a lot of people are not keen on maybe KT coming back because he has his injury issues. But I mean, if you can manage that properly and you can have KT and Greg Taylor, I mean, that's a brilliant left backs that you can have there. Because I mean, definitely when it comes to domestically, as I said, Greg Taylor has been absolutely superb. And KT, you know fine well KT is going to be able to do it in Europe. So I would like to keep him, but he keeps on going on about this. I would like him to, hopefully we can get this sorted. It's not going to, I don't believe, I'd be very, very surprised if this gets over the line and they find out a solution to keep Greg Taylor there. I think, and again, I don't think it is now with Greg Taylor that, you know, oh, well, what they've said now, what they've sang about KT, then I'm out of here. I don't believe it. It would be really, really good to hear from Greg Taylor on this, but I don't think he's ever going to speak about it because it's probably not an issue. So he's probably just not going to talk about it. But I would like to keep Greg Taylor there. I think he would be brilliant to have there, but I think Brendan already knows that that's not going to happen. But so I don't know why he keeps on revisiting this and saying that, you know, like, let's see how it goes with Greg Taylor.
So yeah, I think you see from his performance level, his concentration, his commitment to the team and to the club is always there, and there's always a little backdrop for every player and manager, but he copes with it really, really well, and you see that in how consistent he is in his performances.
Would you think now that it would be better for a quick resolution to this matter, considering the noise that's going on round about it for all parties involved, if there was a quick resolution to this contract?
Well,
see, that's the thing. Here we go again with all the noise that's going on round about it. Like, what noise? What noise is going on around what? As far as we know, he's got 6 months left in his contract. He hasn't signed a new deal. That's where we're at with it. There is no noise about it. It is what it is, and hopefully we're getting KT. But then that's not signed, sealed, and delivered either, as I said before. But there's no noise about it. I don't know why this guy from the media keeps on poking that, you know, there's a bit of noise around this. I am not hearing anything about it. Drop in the comments if you're hearing anything different. I've heard what I've heard, that he's got 6 months left in his contract. There hasn't been an agreement signed for a new contract as of yet. That's it. End of story.
Well, that is, you always want that ideally, but I'm sure Greg does as well. So, but yeah, I think it'll, you know, between the club and he and his representatives, they'll find a solution to it, I'm sure, either way. But
they'll find a solution to it either way. Either way being that he's probably going to be away to Zagreb or wherever it is that he goes. So I think they know. If the deal's not been done, I mean, we've gave players new deals, 5-year deals, and this deal has just not been done with Greg Taylor. Like, why not? Because he wants to go, or he wants a new challenge, or he's asking for way too much money, and they're trying to find a middle ground to it. But when he says either way, there, he knows. And I don't know why he keeps on trying to fool everybody by saying that he's going to possibly stay. But again, I might be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, because I'd like to see Greg Taylor stay. So
in the meantime, I'm here to support him and his performance level, and as I said, he's absolutely fine with it all.
But Brendan, you know when managers speak about fans, you know how fans can sometimes take it. Do you hope the Celtic fans realise and appreciate that when you're speaking about them, that they kind of see where you're coming from with it?
Listen, I can never say to anyone what to say, what to think, what to sing, what to not. But I can, I know what my own personal value is, and that a lot of it is based around respect. So, but for me,
listen, I understand that. I get that. He's we've all got our own values. He's got his values, and if he feels like something wasn't right, then he should say it. It's not the fact that he should be able to say what it is that he wants to say. I think everybody agrees with that. He should also understand that as a Celtic support, as the supporters who sit there week after week, who spend money, who spend thousands and thousands and thousands a year on, as I said, tickets, travelling to games, merchandise, all of that. He should also, and he's going on about respect, is respect the fact that the fans do have an opinion as well. It's all right for you, Brendan, who can actually sit and do these press conferences and sit there and give your opinion, whereas you've got thousands in the stands who don't have that platform, who are not willing to put themselves on here like me on YouTube and have their say. They don't want to do that. But if they're at a game, which they go every single week and they follow their team all the time, if they're not happy about something, they're going to make it known from the stands. It's as simple as that. So he also has to respect that's the way it is.
Listen, the Celtic support is an amazing support base, what they give the team and how they support the team and how they travel with the team. So I'm not going to start to tell people what to sing, but like I said, for me it's just that bigger picture around this period of games in particular, where pitches are a wee bit lumpier than what they normally would be, and the game might be a little bit slower than what it can normally be. So that isn't always the fault of the players.
No, I absolutely agree with that. I do agree with it. And I said that before, that, we're not going to have it all our own way. And at times we're going to have to really dig deep, and it's not going to be nice, and it's not going to be fast-flowing, high-intensity football. And it's just not going to be. We're just not always going to be able to perform like that. So sometimes you do need to be patient, and you do need to, as Brendan said on Sunday, trust the manager and trust the players. So I get that. I do understand that we're not going to have it all our own way, where we come in and just blitz teams all the time. I understand. I get it. I get what you're saying.
That's just sometimes how it is. But for us, it's that support that can really help the team in what is a really, really grueling period for us.
Brendan, you've been around the block too often now to be shocked by anything. I've been surprised by the scale of the debate that the comments provoked since the post-match.
I have to be totally honest, I haven't seen anything.
Listen, I don't believe that. I do not believe it. And if you believe it, then fair enough. You cannot tell me that he has not seen. It's like, because he will say, as I said to you before, he comes out and he says that he doesn't see anything from social media. There's no way. He's got a media team. There's a media team inside Celtic. There's no way. I'm not saying that they're going to him directly, but they're telling someone who's going back and telling him. He's got wife, he's got kids. You think that none of them are on social media, even under a different name, and don't see what's happening? Don't be silly. Of course he sees it.
When the games are coming thick and fast, it really is the onus is on everybody to pull together and be moving in the one direction. You don't need schisms or distractions. It needs to be all kind of channeled.
Yeah, I think I've said that a number of times in my time here, and it's just reinforcing really that the unity is the strength of this football club. So, and as a manager, and as I said, my priority.
I agree. I mean, I've said this And that's why I always come on here and go, how's it going, Celtic family? Because it is a family. This club, it makes you feel like a family. And when you go to games and everybody's, people speak to you like they've known you all their life. When you go on holiday and you've got a Celtic top on and somebody across the road, hail. And, do you know what I mean? That's what I love about Celtic. I love that it's like a community feel. There is a unity. There is a family spirit. But it's funny that he says that when he makes statements like he has, and he's totally and utterly divided that. Now, whether he's meant to or not, it's been divided because there's so many people got so many different opinions. Some agree with Brendan, some absolutely do not agree with Brendan on it. So I can see that in the comment section on my videos, or when I go on other Celtic channels and read down their comment sections, a lot of people are divided in it. I'm not saying that we're divided as a whole, but in this situation we're divided. So he's kind of created a disconnect, but yet goes on about being united. I just find it a bit funny.
Since the day I walked in, here's always been the players and the supporters. Then that's the connection which is always most important. And if that consistency there, then of course you get great results. So I think we've seen that, and every now and then, like I said, it's to observe. It's not to tell anyone what to think, say, or do, but certainly when we're together, we're much stronger.
It says not to tell anybody what to think, say, or do, but that's exactly what he done on Sunday. It's exactly what he done on Sunday. Instead of booing the team from passing it back, why not cheer them? You're telling us what to do, but and again, Brendan, that's an absolute ridiculous thing to say, because nobody is going to cheer somebody when they pass the ball back. It's just, I don't think it's ever been done, and I don't think it will ever be done. But it's a bit of a funny press conference, this.
Much stronger club.
How much do the players take from positivity from the stands? I mean, we talk about it all the time, but does it really have a...
We're just kind of going over the same thing here, and it's all obvious, all obvious stuff. How much do the players take from positivity in the stands? Of course they're going to benefit from that. Like, I don't know why you're asking stupid questions or the same questions.
So we give them something extra.
Well, 100%.
It gives them something extra. We all know that.
If you're in a really positive ground with a great energy, then that can give you so much. You can get into your flow. Everything is just much more positive. So yeah, listen, I've worked in stadiums out with here where you play passes in the game, and the team will recognise. I remember my time at Swansea where you'd make a backward pass because you couldn't go forward. The crowd can recognise what was happening. They clap, they square the pass, then you play a forward pass and it changes the point of attack, and it's recognising the game.
So I don't understand why he's referenced Swansea there, and the fact that Swansea, when I had my time at Swansea and we used to pass it back, they used to clap. Like, that's fair enough. This is not Swansea, and maybe that did happen in Swansea, but I don't understand. I don't get the reference to it. He's kind of not. He's not covering himself in glory here. He's kind of saying, well, they do it in Swansea, so why can't you do it? I don't know if that's what's been meant there, but it's just it's a bit of a funny thing to say. It's comparing us to Swansea supporters. If they want to clap a back pass, that's great. I don't think anybody would have anything to say about it, and I don't know why he's bringing it up. I'll be honest, it's a bit of a strange one to bring up.
And that feels good for the players. They don't see that as a negative, as to start a new attack. Because everyone wants to play forward, everyone wants to play vertical football, but it's impossible to do it for the whole game. So when there's that positivity around the stadium and that recognition of that, then of course that really aids the players on the pitch, and that's where they gain the energy from.
Trying to get in the heads of Celtic supporters to start celebrating, clapping, and showing support for playing the ball back. to the goalkeeper or playing it back the way. I don't think that's ever going to happen, I'll be completely honest, and I'm not going to start clapping because they played the ball backwards. I understand, I get why he's wanting to do it, and I've never said that I don't understand it. We can reset and we can go again. I think we all understand that, but I don't think anybody. Correct me if I'm wrong. Again, put in the comment section if you are going to start clapping every time we pass the ball back.
But I repeat, the players getting amazing energy from Celtic Park. I've said it so often, especially this season. We love playing at home. We love being there. So this isn't, it's not a big issue at all. Just an observation from a moment in the game, and we move on, and we and the players will get an incredible support.
But if it wasn't an issue, you wouldn't have mentioned it. And I believe when you say it wasn't an issue, because I think the issue was way before and more to do with than just passing the ball back. It was all to do with what happened at Ibrox, and he wanted to say. So he's saying now that it's not an issue, and I don't believe it was an issue at the time. But it was something to grab onto and something that could get him on his way to get to vent and say what it is that he wanted to say. And sometimes, it must be hard as a manager, because sometimes you do have to bite your tongue. And he kind of felt like, well, I'm not biting my tongue anymore. I'm just going to say what it is that I've got to say, and I'm pissed off right now, so I'm just going to come out with a whole heap of nonsense, and I'm just going to go for it, and I'm going to have a rant. So listen, we all do it. We all have a rant at sometimes, especially at your work. You can have a rant and there can be things that you're not impressed with, so you rant over it. It is what it is. Listen guys, I'm not going to waste any more of your time. They just go on about Stephen Welsh and all the rest of that, but you can catch the press conference over in the Celtic channel on YouTube, and go over there and watch it in its entirety. You pretty much got all of it there anyway. But letting me know in the comment section what you think of the whole press conference. I thought it was a wee bit strange. I thought Brendan Rodgers almost looked a wee bit embarrassed, if I'm honest. I think he's came out and had a big rant on Sunday, and there's probably aspects of that where he probably thinks, I didn't actually mean that, or there's aspects of it that he finds as he's maybe taking it a wee bit too far. I thought the whole Greg Taylor thing and the disrespect thing was the one that I think that kind of done it for everyone. I think the back pass thing, not many people were bothered about, and they can kind of get behind it. Okay, we understand what you're saying. I think most of it, most of the people who are a bit angry about what Brendan says really comes down to that we're supposed to have shown total disrespect to Greg Taylor, and I don't truly believe that Brendan believes that. I think it was just a big rant, and he said what he said, but he's not going to come out and then retract the statement. As much as I've said in my previous video I would like him to retract the statement, I obviously knew he wasn't going to do that. But at the end of the day, he did look a wee bit, not himself. I thought he was not nervous, just a wee bit, probably embarrassed that he maybe took it a wee bit too far. Maybe he didn't, but I kind of get that feeling with him. Listen, it is what it is. He said what he said. I don't think anybody should hold it against him. The guy's a great manager, and we all know he is a great manager, and he's just had a moment where he's just let loose, and I believe it's all came from not taking responsibility for the second, because regardless of what you think, this is just my opinion, he has to take responsibility as much as the guys on the park. But anyway, the same old, hit the subscribe button, helps me grow the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one. Hail, hail Celtic family, take it easy.